Good morning and welcome to Cheche, the show where opinion counts, live on Citizen TV. I'm your host, Uduak Amimo. We find ourselves in an all too familiar place, drought in parts of the country, which in turn means food shortages in those areas, and a surplus in other parts of the country. An estimated 1 million people are affected, mostly in arid counties. But the strategic grain reserves exist to release their stocks during such crises. So what's gone wrong in this case? Today's guest is Colonel Jeffrey Kingangi, the chairman of the National Cereals and Produce Board, which oversees the reserves. We also have with us in the studio our panelists, Mtegin Jao and Charles Odhiambo, both of Royal Media Services. Good morning and welcome to the show. So, before we go on to the board and things, let's just establish some facts about the strategic grain reserves.
Yes.
How much grain are you holding at the moment?
At the moment, we are holding 731,000 bags.
How many bags should you be holding?
Well, the reserve, last year, we were holding close to 4 million bags. But this had accumulated over time. Yes.
And so the deficit, how did we get to 731?
Well, as I said, the grain, 4 million bags, had accumulated over time. And a lot of the grain had historical issues. For instance, some of it had overstayed in the silos, and the colors were changing. Others had been stored for a long time, and there was need to refresh the stocks. And so authority was given for us to dispose of the stocks so that we can take in new stocks.
So of your over 700 bags, how much of that is fit for consumption?
All of it is
All of it is now fit for consumption. So when you say that you've disposed of some bags, this is in reference to even the weevil infestation that the Auditor General was recently talking about?
All the stocks that were historical, that had either overstayed in the silos or had some kind of infestation, have been disposed of.
Okay.
Obviously, when you have depots, 110 depots, you may have remnants of some.
Okay.
No.
How much?
It's not understandable. Every silo, every storage has a manager.
Yes.
I cannot understand why it should happen at all that you should have history. Can't you just spend the last batch you... It's not, I cannot understand. It should not happen.
What really led to having excess stocks that some of them were historical, like you say? Although you said they were accumulated over time. Does it mean
over time.
There was no need?
First of all, the management of the Strategic Grain Reserve is housed in the Ministry of Agriculture. And previously, it was being done by a committee of permanent secretaries as a Strategic Grain Reserve Committee. It was difficult that time for the principal secretaries to meet and agree. And it was found very difficult sometimes to dispose of stocks because they could not agree on when to dispose of it, how to dispose of it, what kind of prices they are going to put.
I believe what you said was there was no policy.
Yes.
How much stock should you have?
This is what I'm coming to. So what has happened now, there is another independent board which has been formed under the ministry.
Called?
It's called Strategic Grain Reserve, SGR, as opposed to what used to be called the trustee committee. They are no longer the trustee. These are instituted as the Strategic Grain Reserve board that meets under the ministry, and they're the ones who formulate policy. So once they came into the office, they were able to ease off, to make decisions much faster. And this is the committee that made the decision to dispose of historical grain stocks that were actually eating away into the strategic reserve money, because when you keep it for over 2 years, you are forced to sell at a loss. But if you're only dealing with the current season maize, then you can sell at market prices and replenish.
Okay.
So you're not losing much.
You still haven't answered the question.
Yeah.
How much stock should we have?
How much stock should we have? There's no specific answer.
Really?
Yes.
But the cabinet secretary was in the economic press yesterday.
Yes.
You need 8 million. 8 million bags.
8 million is a policy that has been floated. Is it a policy? I don't know whether it's a policy.
Okay.
But the current stocking is about 4 million bags.
Okay.
Yes.
Help our viewers understand this, because my understanding is that in the past, the threshold
Yes.
was 4 million bags.
4 million bags.
And for about 2 years now, there is, because we've got a new cabinet secretary, and both cabinet secretaries, the current one and his predecessor, agreed that 4 million was not enough and came up with a number of 8 million.
8 million.
So you've gotten rid of the excess.
Yes.
We are left with over 700 bags.
700 bags.
So we cannot feed our people. Is that where we are?
No.
Where are we?
Food security is not about the food in our stores. It's about the food available in the country.
But there is no food available in the country, which is why more than 1 million people are starving.
No, there's food available in the market.
Okay.
And that begs the question.
Yeah.
So how much food in stores should we have to be able to guard against anything? Because the proposal is 8 million. We have only 731,000,
yes.
and you say we have enough. So, I mean, for somebody to have come up with a figure of 8 million from the blues, there must have been a reason. 8,700,000. Do we have enough food?
We have enough food, and this is what I'm trying to explain. Food security is about the availability of food in the country in general. Some of it will be in the market, some of it will be in people's homes, some of it will be in our stores. As at now, the balance sheet of maize is about 8 million available countrywide in different places. Some
Who
of
knows
the
that?
stock is
Who knows that?
the ministry keeps the balance sheet.
If the maize is in my house, how will they know?
Well, they have a way, the experts, they have a way of calculating how much food is available.
But if there's 8 million bags available, why is it not reaching the people who are starving?
Well, because it's just for the market. People don't have money to buy, and that is why now the strategic grain comes in, where the food, family relief is used to subsidize.
Okay, and where is that famine relief at the moment? How is the famine relief making the connection between the 8 million bags that you say are available and the over 1.3 million people who we're told are starving?
Sorry, I didn't hear the question.
How is the strategic grain reserves making the connection between the market maize, 8 million bags you tell us, and the people, over 1 million, who we're told are starving?
How they make the connection? I think this there's always a program that the Ministry of Devolution comes up with to distribute the relief. My work is to make sure that the food reserve is there and it's in good condition.
But it
when
is not there.
Required.
It is not there in your stores. You have 700,000 bags.
Yeah.
So when you say you have, and then you tell us it's in my house, then now the hungry people get it.
We take it. We buy when Serious Board kicks in to buy. We buy sometimes 1 million bags in a week.
So have you bought?
So right now, the harvest is just coming in, and there will be no need to keep 5 million bags up to the harvest, because again we'll not be able to offtake. We're just preparing now to take the harvest that is coming up.
Colonel Kingangi, you're the custodian of our food reserves,
yes.
And you're telling us confidently that there is enough food. And yet, other policymakers elsewhere and senior leaders in the country are telling people there is imminent drought and famine is looming. Where is the truth? Is somebody playing politics, or is somebody playing safe?
There are people starving.
The food that we're talking about, that is enough, is available in the country. But that doesn't mean that in Kilifi, for instance, that there is food there. There could be food in Eldoret, but it's not going to Kilifi. Now, who is responsible to shift the maize from...
And that's our question to you.
Yes, it's devolution. It's a minister of devolution. And that was my point.
But you also come in, Kano.
Yes.
A few months ago, I think a few weeks, there were complaints from farmers in the grain areas that whatever you're offering to buy is below the production.
Yes.
Why? And therefore they're not going to release the maize.
Yes.
Why should that happen?
We are not offering below the production. We get our figures from the Ministry of Agriculture as to where the production and market prices are. At the moment, they are pegged at 2,300. But the harvest wasn't very good. The rains were not very good in the south coast. And for that reason, a rebate of 500 shillings per bag was added by the minister. So therefore, right now, we are buying at 2,800 shillings per 90 kilograms bag.
Is that acceptable by the farmers?
The farmers
they want, I think, 3,000 or something.
Yeah, the farmers
more than
3,000.
Yes,
3,000.
And you are offering 2,800.
Yes.
So if I was a farmer,
that's the south.
If I was South Rift.
South Rift.
Is that South Rift?
Mostly North Rift. Mostly North Rift. Yes.
Okay. If I had my maize in my farm, in my gunias at home, and you're offering me 2,800, and I can see a mailer who is offering 3,000, why can't I sell to them?
Or somebody comes with a truck to take it to the coast or
wherever
parts of northeastern and is giving a better price. Why should I give you?
Charles, we have never had a problem of not having people deliver food. The problem has always been we cannot take all the food that is brought. Our prices are good, and I can tell you, by next week you see long queues of people coming to sell. Our prices are very good. That's why they queue to sell. The problem has always been they want a little bit more. They just pressurize it to get more money for their produce, which is understood. But the prices that we give, first, they compare with the market prices. Secondly, they are always enhanced. For instance, the market prices now should have been 2,300, but it has been enhanced to 2,800. And I can assure you, we will not be able to offtake what is going to be brought to us.
You won't be able to?
We will not be able to.
Why?
Because it's too much.
Too much.
Yeah. And again, I think there's a misunderstanding here.
Help us understand it.
Let me help you understand. The harvest for the country, both short grain and long grain, we harvest about 40 million bags of maize every year. What we take is 1 million, 2 million, is hardly anything to talk about. The rest of it goes to the millers, and that is where it should go. It should not come to us. We are not a monopoly. We're just nothing but a granary that keeps food just in case.
Okay, but we seem to find ourselves in that just-in-case situation. And so if you're in any of these arid counties, Kilifi, you know, somewhere northeastern, and watching you, hearing you say there is food, but the reality is that your loved ones are starving, what comfort should they take from hearing you speak?
The comfort they should take. Let me try to clarify what I am. We are post-harvest grain management experts, if I can say that, in warehousing and taking care of grain, in treatment of grain and keeping the grain. That we do very well, and I think we are the best in this country. If there was no food, where would farmers as late as last week be demonstrating for us to buy? They want us to buy because there is food. There's a lot of food. The rest of it is the question of positioning it where it is needed.
And so we come back to the point that it seems to us that you haven't done that very well. You haven't positioned the food in the areas that need it.
No. That is not the position. The position is that the program for giving out the relief has not kicked off.
When will it kick off?
I don't know, because it's handled by the Ministry of Devolution. I think that's where the...
What does it mean when you say you're buying? What's the competition between you and the millers and private buyers? What do you offer? Who is better? If I had my maize, do I come to you and go to a miller, or with somebody who came with a truck?
We are a very very good buyer. I think we're the best buyer. Actually, the prices of maize are pegged on our prices. This is why they pressurize us. Even though we are only buying 1 million, the rest of the 30 million harvest, the price depends on what we buy at. So we are very good buyers. We offer very good prices. So that once we buy at 2,800, then the millers are forced to buy at an equivalent price, either slightly more or slightly low. If we buy at 2,300, then the market goes around there. And that is where, that is a story that we are not told. When the farmers are demonstrating, what are they trying to say? They're actually trying to say, peg the price higher so that we can sell. A lot of them don't even come to sell to us. As soon as the price is announced, they go to the millers, which is okay.
Who determines the prices? Who determines the prices of maize when it grows? Well, you have said the government has handed 500.
Yes.
Based on what?
Based on market research, which is done at the...
What about production?
They add unfortunately, I am a post-harvest management expert, so I really don't want to talk for the ministry, but the ministry has criteria which includes the production and includes the market prices, and also takes consideration of the prices elsewhere, like in Uganda, across the borders, so that you don't attract too much inflow of maize if it's overpriced.
Now, as a post-harvest management expert, why do you think there is a lot of cry about famine situation in the country? If it's really, from what I can hear you saying, it's not a bad situation, we are okay. Why is there a lot of hue and cry?
I think, I'm not saying there's no famine. There is famine. And I think the flow of this talk is that it should have been expected, and we should not be reacting in a rush. I think this is what I'm hearing, and I agree with that. Why is there famine? Why is there a rush for food now, which will not proportion? I think this is what you're asking.
Yeah, is it artificial?
No, it's not artificial. But I'm trying to say that these policies and these actions are resident in another ministry. And for us is to manage, to position.
Okay. Help me understand this, because I'm still struggling. You're supposed to have, your understanding is 4 million bags, even though governments have issued directives that we should go up to 8 million bags. You've offloaded the old bags. You are left with 700, more than 700,000 bags of maize. How are you getting up to the 4 million bags of maize? And even though you say things are okay, isn't that part of the problem, that you really just have 700,000 bags of maize to deal with, to offer the country?
No, the 700,000 bags is not a problem, because if it was a problem, we would have zero. Nobody has asked for the 700,000 bags. It's just still there in the store.
Okay.
Last week, this week, I don't know when they will come for it.
But I don't
know when they will come for it.
Just a minute, Charles. So then how are we scaling up to 4 million or 8 million bags? How soon is that going to happen?
We've already announced the price, and we've already opened the stores for selling. So the harvest should be coming anytime.
But you've just been saying that you're going to purchase 1 million.
Precisely. Yes, that is the money that we have.
Exactly. That's what I wanted to come to. You do not have the money to buy.
Right.
You don't have the money to buy.
Yeah. You need 4 million. You have 731,000.
Yeah.
You can only buy 1 million.
Yes.
Yeah, because you don't have
It
money.
doesn't add up.
But
That
part
would be
of-
1.7 million.
Yeah, but part of the policy also is that you're supposed to have what the equivalent of 4 million bags in cash reserves.
Yes.
You don't have that.
Okay. Let me again try to separate these issues. The cash reserve again is with another board, which is resident at the ministry, called Strategic Green Reserve. They're the ones who hold the cash, and they're the ones who say buy or even sell. We do the management. We do the management, post-service management. So, as to whether they want to keep cash or actually buy food, it's really a decision that is beyond us. When they say buy, we buy.
This is bringing politics. This is bringing politics because I think they want to starve you of money. They want to pretend that there is a shortage of maize, and probably because this is going to be election year, somebody imports maize and sells it, and ignores what the Kenyan farmers are growing.
I don't want to speculate, but I would want to say that National Cereals Board has always dealt with our own farmers. We have always dealt with our own farmers. We buy from our own farmers. We supply the subsidized fertilizer. We deal with our own farmers.
Okay. Let me come to the panelists, just to ensure that our viewers are with us. So the policy is that the strategic grain reserve should have 4 million bags of maize physically, and in cash it should be able to purchase 4 million bags of maize. That's the cash reserves. Mtegi, you're saying that this has to do with politics and an election year. What exactly do you mean?
They have the money. There is a committee made of civil servants and politicians who, maybe cabinet secretaries or whatever, who are keeping the money out of National Cereals Board. The National Cereals Board has...
To what end?
I don't know.
How does starving the cereals board of money in an election year benefit anyone?
They will import maize. The politicians who are controlling civil servants will go out and say there's no maize in the country and bring maize from Brazil. They have done it before. And then sell it locally or export it. They export that time to Sudan, to South Sudan. So during political years,
and why
they do that.
Why in an election year?
Because Brazil maize is cheaper to produce but to buy than from Kenyan farmers.
So this gives them access to cash.
Exactly. They do that. They do that with sugar. They do that with maize.
Okay, Charles, I'll come to you now because what is your understanding of the role of the board? Because we seem to be going round whether there's enough stock and whether people are actually going hungry, and we're told that there's enough stock even though people are going hungry.
From what Colonel Kingangi is saying, it's very clear that their mandate is very slim as far as food security in this country is concerned. Yeah. Theirs is take this money, buy this amount of food based on policies. But now the one thing I still don't understand and need an answer from Colonel Kingangi is, if he needs 4 million, they disposed of about 3,200,000 to create room for more. Yes. Where is that money, and why don't we have that stock replenished? And considering that you can only buy 1 million from what you said per harvest season, so what is going to happen to this the rest?
Let me first of all maybe react to the remarks of buying maize from Brazil because of politics. I don't want to speculate because I don't know. We wouldn't know what people are thinking and what they are planning to do. But I think this importation of maize has been overplayed in this way. Maize cross borders every day without restrictions, from Uganda to Kenya, Kenya to Uganda, from Tanzania to Kenya, back and forth. They cross every day, and there is no restriction because of the East African community. So I find it a little bit far-fetched if somebody has to go up all the way to Brazil, and maize is in Tanzania, it's in Uganda.
Isn't it a case, Colonel, that the other day they imported maize from South Africa, which they had to, GMO maize, which came to the port and it reshaped back.
To be reshipped.
Isn't a fact which we all know as Kenyans.
But that was within a program which had been authorized. The only problem was that it was a GMO maize. I think there was an argument about the GMO.
But again, you cannot brush off
yeah.
what Mr. Mutegi is saying. You cannot brush off that, because considering reports from FAO about the drought situation in the region, not just Kenya.
Yeah.
You say maize crosses borders from Tanzania, from Uganda, and vice versa. Here is a situation where there is looming famine in the whole region. Chances are, like Mutegi says, there could be somebody planning to import maize from further afield, bring it through Kenya, and take it to these other countries, because you say cross-border maize business is a normal business.
Yeah,
and you cannot downplay the fact that we are heading to an election here. Somebody needs to make money for campaigns. Are you playing safe?
No. If somebody is making money for campaigns, I can assure you, National Cereal Police Board is not involved, will never be involved. Why? Because we are watched by all Kenyans every day. There is nothing we can do in Eldoret, Kitale, or wherever, where the Mwananchi will not know. There is nothing we can do. We are watched. And as you have seen, they even know what is inside the stores. Every day they know. All these millers, they know what we are holding. They know even the condition. You ask them separately, they will tell you. So, if there's a scheme, I don't know. And what I can assure you is that we are not involved. And we are not likely to be involved.
Have you ever bought maize from Uganda? The serious board, has it ever bought maize from Uganda or Tanzania?
No.
You always buy from Kenya?
We always buy from Kenya.
There are issues about the process of buying maize at the stores by National Cereals. There are complaints regularly about weighing, about whether it's dry, whether it's not dry, and some aspect of serious corruption, which we all know about.
First of all, the issues of weighing, drying, as I said, we are the experts. I don't think there is anybody else who does the maize thing more thoroughly than we do. We have dryers, automated dryers. We have silos. We are even going further. Right now in Eldoret, we are testing coolers, so that the grain that is in the silo can actually even stay for 3 years, because it's cooled.